Our music and we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. For those of you who have never met me before, my name is Maddie. I will be your host of today's webinar. Thank you for taking the time out of your Thursday afternoons to be here and to learn more about 5 strategies for building stronger connections with children. I am so excited. Quick reminder for every single one of you on here, you are all up for a chance to win our $50 gift card giveaway. Super exciting. As long as you are in the webinar here, your name is in the mix to win. So keep an eye out for our show notes email that will go out early next week. We're going to announce the winner right in that email. If you are the winner, don't worry about contacting us. We will absolutely send you an email. Just make sure you check your spam or your junk because sometimes the emails tend to hide in there. As always, before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. The content that we are sharing with you today is not personalized, legal, or financial advice. So the goal today is for us to come together as a community and learn some really amazing tips, tricks, and strategies that you can bring into your centers, into your classroom, into your homes, wherever it may be. But if you are looking at making any big changes at your center, we do just want to make sure that you're contacting the right people, such as a legal or a financial advisor. We are now going to give a listen to our land acknowledgement before we get started.
Hi Mama acknowledges that our main headquarters is situated in Toronto, Ontario, on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto itself is a word that originates from the Mohawk word takaranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing. As participants and guests in today's webinar, we are coming together from many different places around the world. We encourage you to learn about and acknowledge the land from which you participate.
And we are now going to give a listen to our diversity and inclusion statement as well.
Hi Mama is committed to fostering an inclusive and welcoming environment for our employees, customers, and community. Hi Mama welcomes and celebrates individuals of all backgrounds, orientations, and identities. Our Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee aims to ensure we provide a safe environment for everyone to thrive while bringing their authentic selves to work. Our mission is to promote an inclusive workspace for all employees through education, discussion, and celebration of our differences. Embracing these differences while coming together with a common purpose is what makes our team extra special.
Okay, and a few housekeeping pieces before we get started as well. As always, we are recording today's session. So if for any reason at all you do have to hop off, do not worry. We will be sending out the recording to you by early next week. We are also recording today's live webinar with the closed captions enabled. If for any reason you cannot see the closed captions on your side of the Zoom and you do need to utilize those today, please make sure you hit that CC tab on your side of the Zoom certificate. So as always, every single one of you on here at today's live webinar, you will all be receiving a certificate of participation for taking the time to be here with us today. We will be getting those certificates out to you by early next week. So as always, no need to worry if you don't see it today or you don't see it tomorrow. We will get those out to you by early next week. And lastly, if you're having any issues at all with your Zoom, if you're having issues with the sound, if you're having issues with the video, please make sure that you are contacting the support team over at Zoom. Nora has just posted a link in the chat, so you can reach them through that link there, support.zoom.us. They will be able to help you as they know their product the best. And now your host. So again, if you've never met me, my name is Maddie. I am the host of our Hi Mama Helps webinars. I am also a customer advocacy specialist here at Hi Mama, and I'm one of the registered early childhood educators that we have here on the team. As always, my lovely co-host Nora is here with me today. Nora, welcome. What's going on with you today?
Hi, Maddie. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm so grateful for our sunny day in Ontario. We had rain yesterday, so I'm just really grateful for the sun today.
Absolutely. It fully rained all day yesterday, except I am one of those odd people who does prefer the rain. So I loved it. Nora will be on here if you have any questions. She is right in the chat with you. And if you do have questions during today's webinar, please be sure to use the Q&A button. We pull all the questions out of there for us to have a lovely Q&A with our special guest at the end of the webinar. If you post your question in the chat, we will do our best to pull it out. But as you saw earlier, the chat can move pretty quickly. So it's a lot harder to find your questions if they go in there. So definitely utilize that Q&A function. Oh, and Hi Mama Academy, almost missed this. Our slides keep getting swapped. But if you have not heard, Hi Mama has recently launched an all new professional development platform called Hi Mama Academy. It is super exciting. It is a game changer to how you do professional development with your staff. In Hi Mama Academy, there are a ton of online courses in there that are self-paced. They're on demand. They can be accessed from absolutely anywhere. So if you have some staff who work a 7 to 3 shift and some who work a 10 to 6, and it's so hard to get your staff together to do one group training and professional development, we can do it in Hi Mama Academy so they can watch it at whatever time works for them. They can pause it and they will get ISET accredited training certificates. So it is super, super exciting. Nora will post a link in the chat if you're interested in accessing a 7-day free trial to Hi Mama Academy. So no commitment needed, just pop in, check it out, see if it works for you, see if there are courses in there that you're interested in, and you'll be able to do that for 7 days for free. So very exciting. Okay, and finally, our special guest today, Prerna Richards, the CEO of Together We Grow. Prerna, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us today. How is everything going with you?
Great. Hi, Maddie. Hi, everyone. It's always a joy to pop in on Hi Mama. You guys make it so fun and easy. You were talking about rain. We also had endless rain in Texas, and we're expecting more tomorrow. So it feels much cooler. I think we feel like we're somewhere cooler up north, which is always nice.
I'm jealous.
I know, right?
Prerna, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. That way I can hand it over to you. I am so excited to go through your presentation today. I always love everything you talk about.
Oh, you are sweet, Maddie. I love being here with you guys. Hang on. I think I maybe didn't. I was going to do my screen, and then I think I wanted to make sure I could see you. Can you see my screen?
We can, and I can see you as well.
Okay, so let me do this. There we go. Now
There we
we're all
go.
set up. So
Perfect.
for today's conversation, and I'm so happy you guys are here. 45 minutes is super short time. Like, to get content in 45 minutes, it just takes that much. But I'm super excited to share this conversation with you guys. I literally just finished creating it. So it's just hot off the press. And it's just literally talking about things that I'm noticing in the field and I'm hearing around me. So I'm like, okay, I think we need to talk about this at a larger space. So we will talk about the learning gaps. Why are there learning gaps happening? And is the behaviors getting in the way of the learning? We'll talk about teaching and practicing SEL vocabulary and what that looks like. We'll also talk about this really important space of giving ownership to the grown-ups as well as for the children, and then shifting our focus from policing to educating and connecting before compliance. So let's dive right in, because I know 45 minutes is just going to fly by. And so, this is a conversation, guys. So feel free to put it in the chat or questions if you have. And Nora will keep an eye, and Maddie will let me know if you're thinking of something. If it's relevant, she'll pull it up. So let's talk about how can we authentically create meaningful relationship with all children in our classes, in our programs, in our homes. So I think you know this about me. Before we go any further, we're going to do a deep breath. That's just how this goes, because there is so much evidence on just the fact that we can take deep breaths can really help our brain to listen and learn, which is what we want to do for the next 45 minutes. We all want to be listening and learning. What do I feel like doing today? Maybe we can do a breathing with our 3 fingers. So inhaling and tracing our fingers. Let's go with this one. If you're not currently breathing in your programs, you need to become a breathing program. Every hour, the children and the grown-ups should be breathing. So if you haven't put it as part of your schedule and you meant to do it, now is a really good reminder. Add breathing next to your schedule. And you will see within 1 month, your behaviors will come down, your stress will come down, and life will just become easier. And you'll be more in the gratitude space than reactive space. Who remembers? And if anybody wants, if I don't have a gift card, but if I would give it to you, if anybody wants to answer this question, what percentage of the brain develops birth to 5? Anybody knows the answer? Go for it. I mean, if somebody
I'm going to
answers,
keep my eye on the chat for you.
yes,
I'm going to wait and see.
Anybody knows? Maybe this is how you win prizes. I don't know. 90.
I see 80 and 90.
90 is the answer. But that word, 90% of the brain develops birth to 5. I find that just a simple sentence, but let's unpack it for a minute. What does that mean? That means that the human that we're going to become as an adult, that foundation is laid during our first 5 years. The crazy part of that is children birth to 5 have zero control in who's wiring their brain. Think about it. The rest of the life, we have to walk around with this brain, but we have zero control in how it's getting wired. If the adults in our life don't know about brain development, they can't help us, because we do better when we know better. So all the qualities that you want your children to have, tenacity, perseverance, persistence, grittiness, problem solving, collaboration, empathy, compassion, all of that has to be modeled for them. All of that has to be brought into their environment, so that they can get exposed to it and their brain can be wired in that way, right? Isn't that cool, Maddie? Isn't that powerfully cool and also scary? So, so we promised 5 strategies in the title, and I feel like I deliver on my promises. So this is the first strategy. For this one, I want to have a conversation about 2 islands. And this idea came to me because I was just recently presenting at an island, Padre Island to be exact. And I was thinking about it. I was like, how, why is there a disconnect in our programs these days? So just go with me for a minute, because I'm seeing an increase in behaviors happening. I'm seeing an increase in the pushbacks happening. Why is this happening? So on one island is the language development that we have heard, all the research. Talk to the baby, sing to the baby, rhyme to the baby, talk, talk, talk. I think everybody's got that memo. Don't you think, Maddie? Like, we've all heard the importance of talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking, singing, we got the memo, right? We got the research, we understand the concept, and I think we're doing such a good job on it. So we've got the language development down, but it's an island. The other island is the cognitive island. This is all your curriculum. This is all your school readiness requirements, kindergarten readiness. At 2 years old, you should know this. At 3-year-old, you should know this. At 4-year-old, you should do this milestone, that milestone, all the cognitive stuff, all the stuff that kids have to learn to be able to show that they're on target, right? But here's my perspective, and I'm curious to know if this makes sense or if I'm just completely off my head. Like, that could happen. So there's a language island, there's the cognitive island. What connects two islands? Maddie, what would connect two islands?
I was just going to say, do you want me to answer the question, or should I look at the bridge that's connecting the two islands?
I'm giving it away. It's true. The bridge connects the two islands. But here's my thinking. This bridge is where the SEL work happens. Social emotional learning. Quite often teachers will tell me, social emotional is just getting along with our friends. Social emotional is just knowing how I'm feeling. It's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. This is where the executive function skills get wired. This is where the skills that I just labeled as problem solving, critical thinking, creative thinking, all of this is the skills that builds the bridge. But we're not focusing on the bridge building. We're focusing on the language and we're focusing on the cognitive, but there's a disconnect. With the behaviors, when we don't have self-regulation, when we don't have self-control and impulse control, all these basic skills, the kids are falling through the middle because the bridge is not there and they are being lost. So
Absolutely.
do you agree? Like, does that analogy make sense?
Absolutely. And I would also think with social emotional learning, with learning self-regulation and how to calm your body, you're opening up your brain to be ready more for learning, which is actually what we spoke about last week on the webinar as well, or a few weeks ago. So if we're struggling to regulate, let me know if this is correct. If we're struggling to regulate ourselves, we are not as capable to move forward with the cognitive learning activities and the language development activities.
100%. If our brain is here, either I'm scared or I'm emotional, I'm not engaging my learning brain. I can't learn. I can't pay attention. I can't focus. And so why are we not focusing more on the bridge building? And that's really become my mission and my absolute reason to talk anywhere that I can. We need to start focusing on this bridge. We need to give our skills. We just finished saying 90% of the brain is getting wired, but yet we're not intentionally giving children the skill how to build the bridge. And that's our conversation today. I'm going to share practical strategies with building the bridge. That's it. That's what I want to talk about, because I really want to have everybody who leaves from here with practical things that you can take back into your classrooms, into your families, and start building that bridge intentionally. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to be by chance, right? It has to be intentional. It has to be meaningful. So we need to teach our children the social emotional vocabulary. There's many, many more executive function words, but in our interest of time, I narrowed it down to 3. And I want to focus on these. There's a program in San Antonio that I've been working with, and these are practical things that I've used in their program because I'm a behavior coach. And I'm sharing with you what has worked. So first, we need to understand the role of co-regulation. I'm going to share an example of a teacher. Actually, this teacher did it well twice in front of me. I was just like, you have got it spot on. You know co-regulation. Co-regulation just means understanding what the children are feeling and able to help them before they can help themselves. So you can't get to self-regulation before we can master co-regulation. Co-regulation also creates trust between the teacher and the child. So this is what I saw this teacher doing, and it was done so beautifully. A preschool classroom teacher, she's doing an activity with popsicle sticks, and the little girl, I'm just going to call her Sarah because, 3-year-old Sarah is struggling with putting the popsicle sticks to create the frame. The glue is sticking to her fingers. Her legs are getting restless. She's pushing her chair back. She's pushing this thing forward. And this sweet teacher, I'm just going to call her Miss Audrey, she notices that Sarah is getting a bit stressed out. So she says, Sarah, it looks like you might need to take a break. Do you think you'd like to take a break? Because I can see you're getting a little frustrated. Okay, so Sarah gets up. She just goes over to the calm down area. And I have introduced to them this concept of calm down baskets. If you don't have a calm down basket in your room, you need one so that the children can go there to self-regulate, right? They can calm down. There's Play-Doh in it, there's squishy things in it, whatever it takes to just bring it down. And then Sarah did that for a few minutes. She came back and she was calm enough to finish her project. In that minute, I could see that this child trusts her teacher. And the teacher could sense that she was getting a bit frustrated. So before it escalates anymore, she was co-regulating her. She was helping her out. I saw the same teacher outside in the playground. She is outside in front of a house structure, and suddenly there's crying coming from inside the house structure. So she kneels down in front of them, and he is screaming, he hit me, she hit me, like there's a whole thing happening. And she just puts her hands out in front of the open structure and just says, boys, I see that you're struggling and crying. Come on out, tell me what's going on. She opens her hands, the guy who's crying falls onto her shoulder, and she's patting him gently and are you okay? What's happening? Let's take care of you. And the other guy comes. So Zach is his name. Zach comes and says, Daniel pushed me. Daniel pushed me. Like Zach is telling Miss Audrey, like, you've got this all wrong. I'm the one who's the victim. He hit me. You're comforting the wrong person. So Zach is stressing out. He's like, no, but he hit me. He hit me. And the teacher just puts her one hand on Zach's shoulder and she continues this on this. And she said, okay, oh, did he hit you? Okay, we'll find out. Let's just have him calm down first so that we can understand what happened. In that moment, again, Daniel took barely 2 or 3 minutes, got himself composed, but both children came to her knowing that she would be fair, and they trusted her to take care of them without judging either one of them. And then she was like, okay, what happened? It turns out Zach actually pushed him first, and that's why he hit him, but he hadn't told that side of the story. So co-regulation starts before we can get to self-regulation. When you start practicing this in the everyday environment, children start feeling like, okay, this adult gets me. I trust this adult. I'm going to be safe with them, right? So then the next word is self-regulation. In the interest of time, well, maybe I'll ask it, and if somebody knows what it is, or we can see in the chat. What do you think self-regulation is?
I'm going to keep my eye on the chat before I jump in with my own answers there, Prerna.
Okay.
If no one says anything in the next 5 seconds, I'm going to go in.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, being able to calm oneself down when they're getting upset, controlling their own emotions.
Okay, so I'm going to clarify. Self-regulation has 3 parts to it. Knowing how I'm feeling is the first part. What do I feel in this moment right now? Do I feel angry? Do I feel frustrated? Knowing what I'm feeling, the second part of self-regulation is what caused it. Knowing what caused it. Why am I upset? What caused it? And the third part is what can I do to help myself? So in this school in San Antonio that I'm helping, we've been working with this vocabulary for the children. We're intentionally building the bridge. And we introduced to them this concept of self-regulation. In this classroom, you can feel any emotion. You're allowed to feel any emotion, but I want you to know why you're feeling it. If you're angry, if you're frustrated, if you're excited, what caused it? Let's talk about that. And then if you need to calm yourself down, here's the calm down basket. So then there was practice time, because I usually go to the school once a month. So I give them homework before I go the next time. and they practice it through the month. So self-regulation was introduced to them. The second word that we explained was self-control. And then the teacher had to bring it to life by saying, I noticed you're showing me self-regulation today. I'm proud of you. So going deeper than good job, explaining what self-regulation looks like in action. That was self-regulation. You were really irritated that you couldn't have the toy, but you were able to calm yourself down, right? So bringing it to life. The second one is self-control. What do we think that is? What is self-control? Okay.
Just
Did
I
anybody
was just
answer?
giving not yet. There's typically a little bit of a lag, but I see here denying impulses, which is an interesting answer, and controlling self, walking
Okay, so
away from a situation.
let me break it down. So self-control for little children is you really got to go deep. Control your feet, control your legs, control your hands, control your arms, most of all, control your mouth. So I'm not talking back, I'm not answering back. And this is how you will bring it to life in a centered circle time. You're sitting in a circle and you would ask the kids, show me self-control. Means you don't touch a friend, you don't bother your friend, you're doing self-control. So practice it, practice it. I'll give you an example of how I did this with my granddaughter who's 4, and she had a flashlight which was making a noise, which was driving her dad crazy because every time she'd press the flashlight, it would make that noise, that horrible noise, and he kept saying, stop it, stop it. And so we were sitting in the car together and she was about to press it. And I said, guess what? Your brain is stronger than your thumb. Your brain can tell your thumb to not do it. You could control your thumb. Let's play the game. Are you ready? Every time you want to press this, your brain has to say, don't press it. So she said, okay. And then a few minutes later, she said, Ami, my brain is winning. It didn't let my thumb press it even once. That's self-control in action, right? We got to bring these vocabulary words to action, to meaning for our children. So give them time to practice self-control. And as they're practicing it, use the language of not yet. You haven't mastered it yet. We're still working on it. Don't get frustrated. All right. Then the last word is impulse control. Impulse, the word impulse means an urge. I have an urge to do something, but I can talk myself out of it. So young children don't know the concept of self-talk. Grown-ups do, right? So if I have an impulse to eat ice cream sundae all day, I could totally do that, but also I could tell myself, no, Prerna, walk away. You don't have to do it, right? So introducing the concept of self-talk to children is critical. So when if somebody's bothering you and you can't get the toy you wanted and you're getting frustrated and you're going to push, I want your brain to tell your hand, I don't have to push you. I don't have to push you. So all of this can be done through play. There are so many games that we can play to help children master these 3 vocabulary words. You know, with executive function, there's a very long list, but in our interest of time, I'm sharing just the top 3 that we could give our children, right? That'll help them to focus and attention. So you can play follow the leader games. You can play the rules games. You could do, you know, things like we're going on a bear hunt because the bear hunt tells you to follow instructions. We could play the game of red light, green light. So when we play games like these with children, it gives them a chance to do self-control and impulse control in action. Your impulse might be run ahead, but it's a stop, it's a red light, you got to wait. Does that make sense? And so I will tell you what happened after I had worked with the school and I went for my visit and there were 2 children, go back to the Zach and Daniel example. These 2 boys are best of friends and worst of enemies. You can't separate them and they want to play together, but then the power struggle happens. They both want to be the leader. So this is what happened in my last visit. I was in the block area and Daniel and Zach are playing together. And I'm looking at the teacher, Miss Audrey, from there, and we're making eye contact. Like, this is great. These boys are playing very well together. And then just within 5 minutes, Daniel knocks down Zach's structure. And then for good measure, he pushes him further. So now Zach is on his floor like this. He falls on his hands and Daniel is looking around like, oh boy, I'm in trouble now. This is what happens. Zach got up on his knees, looked straight at Daniel, and I was like, oh goodness, okay, what are we going to do now? He didn't do anything. He got up, he walked to his cubby, and as he's walking to his cubby, he says, I need to breathe, I need to breathe. He went to his cubby. All of them had been given a rainbow, a laminated rainbow. He took out his rainbow and he did this. And rainbow has 7 instead of just 3. So Zach took 7 deep breaths, then went to Miss Audrey and said, Daniel pushed me. Miss Audrey came over, asked both the boys, I saw what happened. What happened, Daniel? Why did you knock down his structure and why did you push him? And Daniel's response was, he didn't like his structure. So he knocked it down. Then why did you push Daniel? Why did you push Zach? Oh, because I was scared he was going to hit me then. You see how children will do things to protect themselves. First, he knocked down his structure because he didn't like it. Then he got nervous that he's going to get hit. So then he protected himself and pushed him further. But in that moment, I saw that they were showing me self-control, impulse control, and self-regulation in that moment. They had mastered it because they had been practicing it. I mean, it's possible, right? Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. Showing the initiative to go over to get the rainbow and take the deep breaths.
Yes, that's total self-regulation. But you know that teacher has been working with them with co-regulation. They got to self-regulation. And now we're strengthening the bridge. Now we're ready to learn. Now we're engaging our brain. So we're working on the bridge. And I really feel very strongly, this is our role in early childhood. We have got to build this bridge. We have got to intentionally give them the tools for building the bridge so that they can access the language island and the cognitive island. So strategy number 3. If the adults in the classroom don't have ownership and agency, meaning they can make decisions for themselves, if the administration is controlling everything that you do, there's no way you can give it to the children. If in your classroom you have assigned seating, you have assigned seating for the carpet, you have assigned seating for the tables, you have assigned orders of when they line up, you have you predetermine who plays with who, you have predetermined names for small group, you're controlling all of this space. There's no agency given to the children. There's no space where children can make decisions of whom to play, where to sit, what to participate in. It's just not going to work because all we're going to do is create a very frustrated environment from the teachers who have no agency. They're told which curriculum to teach, how to teach it, when to teach it, and then they're doing the same to the kids.
Yeah. And Prerna, something I thought about as well when you were saying that, when there's so much structure, you sit here, you line up here, you're always behind this person or always in front of this person. We're also taking away a lot of social development opportunities for children to figure out their roles and take on leadership roles and learn to create rules together. And yeah, that to me, there's just so much adult involvement there.
And it's frustrating. I can't imagine going to work as an adult and being told all day long, sit here, do this, turn around. I'm not surprised kids are acting out. Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised the behaviors and the stress is off the charts. But all of that does nothing for the bridge. And if our job is to build the bridge, we're not even giving them the tools to build the bridge, but we're actually making them so dependent, and we're actually enabling them that they can't make any decisions. You know, some teachers will tell me, oh, but the kids have to show me that I can trust them to make decisions. But when are they going to get that chance? When are they going to practice? How are they going to show you when you never give them any chances?
Yeah. And I feel like it goes the other way as well. If we're not giving them if we're not giving them an opportunity to make choices, we're also not showing trust in them. And if we don't trust them, they're going to have less trust in us. So it goes together.
It both ways. Trust is a two-way street. Partnership is a two-way street. And when you give them choices, you let their voices be heard. You know, so many teachers are telling me, oh, but you know, I seat them in a certain way because so-and-so can't work with so-and-so, but that's a teachable moment. You're just taking the teachable moment away. How are you going to teach them skills? Because you're just like, oh, they can't sit together. Well, why are you becoming a lifeguard? instead of a swim coach. So let's talk about that. Quite often I'm noticing teachers are being the lifeguard. Just the word lifeguard just means I'm scanning for safety. I'm just scanning for safety. I'm positioning for safety. And a lot of the teachers are doing that role. They're positioning themselves to make sure everybody's safe. But there's a huge difference in being scanning for safety than becoming a life coach, a swim coach. What do you think is the difference, Maddie, between a lifeguard and a swim coach? What do you think would be the difference?
I would say that the lifeguard is just micromanaging everything with safety as the top priority, as opposed to risk taking and learning and building resilience. Maybe I'm taking that one a little too far, but that's my understanding of it. And then swim coach, you're more of a partner with the child, and you're following their lead, their interests, and you're supporting them in those skills.
100%. You're in it with them.
Mm-hmm.
You're scaffolding in where they're at. You're meeting them where they're at. You're scaffolding them. You're supporting them. You're joining them. You're not just scanning, and you're not just a spectator outside. The swim coach is in the water. The lifeguard is on the outside, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We can be a swim coach in our infant classroom. We can be a swim coach in our school age program. We can be in toddler and preschool and beyond, and even in adult working spaces. It's a choice we can make. Am I just giving you direction and instructions, or am I joining as a partner? That's a choice. That's a choice.
Yeah. So, very interesting.
So I did promise you 5, and I'm going to get you 5. So this is the 5th nugget on how we're building the bridge. Let's start focusing on educating the children and not just policing. We are policing the environment. We're policing the toys. We're policing the children. I've noticed that teachers will say, I've noticed teachers saying, the home living toys, don't go over there, go take the toys back. The manipulators belong over there, or the science period belong over there. So we're controlling the entire environment. I was in a school this week in Dallas, and this teacher constantly, so she put out bugs and a magnifying glass on the table. The child went to the table and wanted to play with it. And I don't know, in her mind, maybe he didn't pick it up properly, or maybe she thought the magnifying glass was going to break. I don't know what happened. But then her sentence was, no, thank you. No, thank you. Walk away, walk away, walk away. And so this was her favorite line. She used it over and over again. And the child went to the shelf for the musical instruments, and she just put her hand there. Walk away. No, thank you. No, thank you. So there's no agency, and you're just policing. You're just policing. And where is the educating happening? But you're controlling where the toys belong, where do they play with? And when children are deep in play, this constant interruption of, make sure you put that back, this belongs in the dramatic area, and this belongs over there, you're interrupting play. When is the time we're going to develop our bits over here for focus and attention? When is it we're going to go deeper in play? And play comes in 4 stages. We're barely allowing them to go deep 1, right? So it matters. It matters. And then the other thing I noticed her doing was in the sensory area, she had a sign for 3 children, and the 4 went over there at the sensory table. And so she went there to police it. And she said, guys, how many kids are we allowed to be here? And they had forgotten because they were deep in play, and they were like looking, and they're like 3. And she says, and how many are you now? And they're looking, and they're saying 4. And she said, so somebody has to go. And I'm thinking, okay, those things are to help you with managing when there's behavior. The 4 of them didn't have a behavior. The 4 of them were engaged. Why are you taking the stress on for policing the number of kids per center when you could just relax and join the play or join the conversation? And if there's a problem, you could redirect them. Like, oh, guys, I see that you are struggling. How many should be here, and what should we do now? You know what I mean? Like, we are intentionally, instead of building the bridge, we are breaking the bridge, if there is any, brick by brick. Because those kids were showing social relations, they were able to manage and they were collaborating. And now we just took away the opportunity to collaborate because we are so focused on the classroom management. So I think recognizing that our focus has to shift from classroom management to brain development. That's our job as early childhood educators. Our job is to give them a great foundation from birth to 5 years. 90% of the brain is getting wired, but where is our attention? Our attention is on classroom management stuff. And what are the children learning in that space? They missed opportunities, right? So it really goes back to the more you correct, the less you connect. If all your conversations all day long is policing and correcting, where is the time to connect? Is the child feeling seen and heard and understood and loved and accepted and valued as part of your school family? When is the chance we're going to meet their social emotional needs? So connection and collaboration. So instead of just constantly telling them with threats. So this is the other thing that I've seen quite often. We're giving them threats. If you don't do this, then you're not going to get this. I've even heard teachers giving bribes of saying, if you go to sleep, I'll give you a popsicle when you wake up. Like, what are we teaching our children? We're just managing in the moment. If you don't do this, then you don't get to go outside. That happened so many times that day. The children were not sitting on the carpet because she'd made them wait so long. And then she said to them, if you don't listen to the carpet, you don't get to go outside. You don't get to go outside. All these threats, and then we give them stickers when they comply. We're teaching them that I should only be listening, but I don't need to have a brain. I don't need to engage my brain. As long as I just follow the thought line, you and I will get along. But what life skills are they learning?
Yeah. And also, what I'm also hearing there is, where's the room to be honest about what you're feeling?
Yes, because we're putting a lid on it. So I
Yeah.
said so, you do so, and we'll get along just fine.
Yeah.
There's no way I don't need to hear anything, right? So instead of threatening them, instead of giving stickers for bribing, change it to collaboration. So what does collaboration sound like? Collaboration sounds like somebody's having an upset, like, I really want to play with this toy and I'm not ready to clean up. Collaboration would sound like, I understand you're disappointed we're cleaning up. I understand you wanted to have more time with this. But guess what? Right now we need to go outside and you will get to play with it again later. Recognizing that they're going through an emotion, allowing them to express it in a safe place, and then giving them a choice. Would you like to pick up the cars first, or would you like to pick up the blocks first? Giving them a voice and a choice instead of forcing and doing this. And if you can't clean up, then the next level of choice is either you choose or I'll help you choose. And you may not like my choice, but you're collaborating. You're not coming policing, dominating, controlling. I honestly feel childhood looks different these days, but the children are the same. All children need love, trust, safe places to take risks. All children need adults who believe in them and love them unconditionally, not performance-based. I will love you if you listen. I'll love you if you follow my instructions. I love you unconditionally. Love is an emotion. Trust is an emotion. Are the children feeling that love and trust from you? This teacher that I explained with Audrey, you can tell in the examples I shared that there's a trust bond between her and the children. She's showing up for them because she's taking the time to teach them how to build the bridge. It's an opportunity of Windows Guide, because either we use it or we lose it. They're going to become 5 regardless. They're going to go through life with or without skills. So it is a game changer.
Absolutely. Sorry, Prerna, I didn't mean to kind of cut you off there. I just, when you mentioned the example of Audrey, what I really appreciated in that story and how Audrey handled those situations was that there was it seemed like she very much avoided ever labeling the behavior. She brought them in to really understand what was going on, which is amazing. And there was no blame. There was no, you're bad for having this behavior. I won't be around you while you have this behavior. It was very much bringing them in instead of pushing them away. So I really, really enjoyed both those examples.
There are amazing teachers doing amazing things. It's not all gloom and doom, but I think what I've been reflecting on more and more recently is why are some teachers able to do it and some not, is because the bridge is being developed. They're giving them the chance to develop the bridge. They're giving them the language to develop the bridge, and they're practicing it again and again because children need those opportunities, right? And so it is a game changer when we can do that. And if there's anybody listening and you want free resources, there's tons on my website. There's previous podcasts from Hi Mama there. There's book lists there. There's children's book lists there for social emotional, for executive function. There's many, many good books for executive function that you can help to build this bridge. Or if you need coaching or training support, whatever it is, I just want to help make a difference, because I think collectively our conversation for early childhood has to change so that we can focus on this, so that we can access these. I'm not saying don't teach the language. I'm not saying don't teach the cognitive, but we're right now not accessing them. Right now it's wasted.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Prerna, thank you so much. I'm really excited to ask you a couple questions that I saw come in. I saw one come in the chat a little while ago, so I have it paused there. So I haven't seen anything new in the chat just yet, because I really want to address these two questions that I saw here. This one question, sorry. Before we dive into it though, Prerna, I'm going to give you a minute to have a sip of water, catch your breath.
I'm fine. It's all good.
I am going to take back the screen share for the last few slides, if that's okay.
Sure.
So I'm going to, okay, here we go. And I'm really quickly going to go ahead and launch our poll out that we launched to the audience during every webinar. We've just got a couple questions there, one of which is, how do you currently document and communicate any challenging behaviors you're having in the classroom? How do you keep the parents involved in what is going on? We're also curious to know if you are interested in learning more about Hi Mama Academy and how you can very truthfully put professional development at your fingertips. Very exciting. And also let us know what you do with your certificates from the webinars. I am going to leave that poll up for you there. Let me find the chat again. So this is going back, Prerna, to when we were talking about lifeguard and swim coach and the distinctions there. And I saw a couple comments in the chat about being an educator in the early childhood classroom, finding a balance of having to be both, of managing the classroom because there's so much going on, but also working to be a swim coach. So what would you say to that comment, or how would you support an educator on here who's saying, how do I find a balance between being both of those?
So 100%. Just like when we talk to the owners and directors, you have to be a leader and a manager. Manager has different task and leader has different tasks. A lifeguard has responsibility to keep them safe. That is our number one primary goal. I mean, people are trusting them with their most precious being on earth to take care of them. So we got to keep them safe. But I think the challenges that I'm noticing is they're stopping just at that. They're just stopping at the job of keeping them safe. They're not extending it by becoming responsive and present and following their lead. And when you can be present and follow their lead, you will do both, because you'll be engaging with them and you will keep them safe because you'll be right in it with them. But when I'm saying be in it with them, doesn't mean that you start playing so busily that you forget that you have a responsibility. That is not what I'm saying. But you can still sit on the floor in the block area and scan the room for safety and get up if you need to. Right? It's in the moment judgment call, but it's allowing the children a safe space to make safe risks and take risks that they can succeed at. I would even say, if the children are arguing over there, walk very slowly before you get over there and solve it for them. Because you want them time to problem solve. You want them time to negotiate. You want them time to collaborate. So at the lifeguard role, you're just going very quickly and you're telling them what to do. The swim coach takes it back and goes slowly. So doing both, but don't stop shy at the guarding and the supervising.
Right. Absolutely.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think your explanation there is also just a really great reminder about how to pause a little bit before quickly jumping in. Obviously, it might be so much easier to just stop the action that you see happening, but we're also at the same time stopping so many great learning opportunities. And it's a great reminder to just reflect on what is the risk that could happen. Because I think in early childhood classrooms, which of course this happens, but we get so caught up in making sure that it's just safe, safe, safe. Nothing happens. I don't want to be sending home any incident reports. Or we've done 2 incident reports for this child already this week. I can't have another
I
one.
would, I'm sorry, Maddie, didn't mean to cut you
Mhm.
off, but I just thought of something that you just said, the incident reports. I hear this language a lot that says, be careful, be careful,
Yeah.
be safe, be safe, be careful,
Yeah.
be careful, be careful. Okay, words matter. Flip that.
Yeah.
Instead of constantly saying, be careful, change it to, I notice you're being careful. Just the fact that you use the word, I notice you're being careful, already makes the children like, oh, I'm doing something. Oh, I'm being careful. They can self-correct. Instead of constantly putting fear into them, be careful, be careful, be careful. Even if they're coming down the slide, and don't hate me if I say this, but I'm going to go there. If somebody's coming down, I'm going there. If somebody's coming down head first, you're jumping in there. Stop it. That's not our rule. Stop it. Okay, if there's nobody around, let them take the safe risk. Let them learn how this is. And the other last word that I want to use is, maybe I didn't even use it. Discipline is not a bad word. Discipline can be done without breaking their spirit. Discipline means that you're supporting and guiding them. So there's also this misconception, and I think maybe that was number 4 slide that I forgot to put it in there, but there's a misconception that if I'm going to be an SEL school, I'm going to have a wishy-washy school and the kids are going to rule over me and they're just going to do whatever they want. Not true. Not true. Discipline is something that you're teaching them. The word discipline comes from disciples, to learn. But it's the tone you're using, the words you're using. Are you crushing their little spirits, or are you helping to build the bridge? And acknowledgement doesn't mean you have to give in. If I say, I understand you're disappointed, you don't want to clean up, doesn't mean you don't get to clean up. I understand you don't want to, but that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You actually took my exact example that I was going to say. When I was an educator, I used to always say, up the stairs, down the side, up the stairs, no, up the stairs, down the side. And it took learning this to be like, what? As long as they're safe, no one's going to get hurt. Why would I stop that learning opportunity that's happening, the decision-making that's happening? So great example.
We think alike.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike. The questions.
So many things I want to say to that, but I want to get these 2 questions in before we have to wrap up.
Okay.
Someone in the audience asked, what do you have in your calm down basket? What are some ideas?
Well, let me show you what I have right now, because every time it changes. The discount school supply, Lakeshore, everybody has them. This is the foam that takes different shapes. This is the snow globe. There's crayons. There's a notepad. There's a squishy ball. There's Play-Doh putty. There's this fidget toy. There's this fidget toy. There is this guy with a magnet. To anything that helps them to focus and pay attention. But this is all part of building the bridge. We have to help them how they can self-regulate, but you have to start with co-regulating before self-regulating can happen. You just can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Prerna. And another question that came in here, probably one of our last questions here. So if we didn't get to one of your questions, please know that in the show notes email, we are sending information for how you can stay in contact with Prerna, follow along with Prerna, and learn more about what Prerna has to offer with Together We Grow. So if we did not get to your questions, just look out for that email. But someone in the audience asked, what are the 4 stages of play that you quickly mentioned before?
So I do a whole training on that, and I'll try to remember. Well, Piaget has done it as well, but these ones are a little bit different because the way I've had them structured, the 4 levels, is the role that the adult plays. So the first stage is they're unsure of where they want to play. So they're just scanning the room, and you will hear words like, they just wander the room and then they're not sure where to join. So I'm bored. That's stage 1. And the role of the adults for that stage is getting the room prepared in a in a rich and exciting way that they want to engage in play. So if you see a child wandering, a good question to them will come, do you know, I have something new on the carpet for you. I bought the train set. Do you want to come check it out? So you help them make a decision. But that's an important stage because they're engaging in the problem solving. They're trying to take away all this distraction and get focused on one. So that's stage number one. And again, I'm saying it very loosely because I do a whole session on it. The second one is when they're starting to engage in play, what role does the adult have? The adult's role is, asking questions without interrupting and taking over the play. Because this is a great example of, I've seen it happen all the time. Two kids would be playing in the home living and the teacher walks in there. What you cooking? What you making for me? They weren't even thinking about you. They're not making anything for you. You just hijacked the play. You just imposed yourself. If you really want to join play, sit on the side and observe and listen. You don't need to pepper them with questions. You don't need to hijack the play, right? And so that's stage number two. How do you facilitate without hijacking? Number three is when they get deeper in play, they've taken away all the distractions and now they're collaborating and now they're creating and something bigger is coming out of it. And it is fascinating what they can create if they're allowed to go deep in it, right? I have a whole thing, a picture of how these kids used all the blocks in the block area. Everybody in the classroom got engaged with it. And that was when they were creating and being inventors and they were applying used knowledge. That was level 4. Like they know how to create structures. And the role of the adult is there just to bring in more materials, follow their lead. Oh, you guys, so this is what this teacher did when the kids were making this big structure of the blocks. She said, oh, I have some few things over here, strings and paints and some foam boxes in case your structure might need them. So you're facilitating the play by providing resources if and when they need it, right? So you're following the play's lead. You're not interjecting, you're not teacher directing, you're not teacher led. It's child directed and child led. And I promise you, if you have more play, your behaviors will reduce in your classroom, 100%. A stressed out teacher will teach stress, guys. A joyful teacher will teach joy.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're almost out of time, but one thing I wanted to add to that I just got to thinking about when you're saying, like go in and asking too many questions, because I think a lot of educators go in and do that very thoughtfully, trying to encourage the play. But I think we have to be so aware that there's just this inherent power dynamic, regardless of how hard we try to not be this powerful figure. There's no way to avoid it. And by asking those questions, they might start to search for the right answer. So it's just a really interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, totally. There's rules and roles and rules in play that happen between children. They do not happen when there's an adult present. As much as you want to be playful, as much as you think you're a cool person, the dynamics will change. We might be very cool, but entering play has to be with invitation. Wait for their invite before you hijack. Don't hijack, wait for the invitation.
Absolutely. I think those are amazing words to cap off at. I appreciate this so much, Prerna. Thank you so much for another fabulous webinar. So many great learnings. There's been a lot of comments in the chat that a lot of people want you to come back and do your session on the stages of play. So
there you go. Well, follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. Let's connect because, there's tons of information and I'm still learning, guys. I haven't mastered anything. I'm still in the learning space. I told you this just got created because I sit and reflect and I think and I wonder and I'm just like, where's the missing links?
Amazing. Prerna, thank you so much. I know you're off to catch a flight now. So thank you so much for taking your time to be here with us and sharing this amazing insight and knowledge. Prerna, we really, really appreciate you. Thanks,
you. Thanks, Maddie. Thanks, everybody.
Take care, Prerna. Bye-bye. Everybody, before we wrap up, just a quick reminder, show notes email and the recording certificate that's all going out to you by early next week. So just keep an eye out in your inbox there. It can end up in your spam or junk. So just keep an eye there. Next week, same time, 2:00 Eastern time, next Thursday, November 3rd. I cannot believe it's November next week. We are talking about 5 tools to master challenging behaviors in the classroom. We are bringing back Ron Schwally, who has always been a hit. So I'm super, super, super excited. And another reminder, the $50 giveaway, one of you on here right now is the winner of this gift card. So keep an eye out for the email. We will announce the winner in there. And lastly, please do connect with us. Follow us on social media if you haven't already. If you want to stay up to date with what is going on at Hi Mama, you want to join a fabulous community of educators who are sharing their ideas, tips, struggles. Everyone in this field I know loves to network and just connect and collaborate. So a lot of that is happening in our Facebook group, which is Circle Time for Early Childhood Educators. And if you follow us on Instagram, we will be posting updates of what's going on at Hi Mama, upcoming webinars. So you don't want to miss out on any of that good stuff. Otherwise, we have come to the end of another fabulous webinar. So thank you so much to all of you for taking the time on your Thursday afternoon to sit here and learn with us. And I certainly hope to see you all again next week. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.